Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Save Canada channel. My name is Landon, and we're finally here with episode 6 of the channel. It's been quite a while since my most recent upload, like a month or so, I think now. I've been kind of in and out of sickness, having on and off coughs and runny noses and whatnot. I've also been kind of delaying this. I don't really exactly like making videos while I'm sick. I don't like having the nasally voice or whatnot. But regardless, we're here now, and I have quite a lot to talk about. I've been looking into lots of things. I've been reading up on things, reading books while I've been gone. I haven't stopped looking into things ever since I've been absent. But so first, I have a story today. It's from the Free Press, an article from the Free Press. It's Carney's first 100 days in government, and I'm going to talk about this to kind of outline the issue I'm going to start talking about with you guys. I have a quote here. Mark, let me. Mark Carney's campaign for Prime Minister was built on urgency. He said that Canada was in crisis, hammered by Trump's annexation talk and tariffs. He was sworn in 5 days after winning the leadership of the Liberal Party, called a snap election that delivered a mandate, and vowed to make Canada the strongest economy in the G7. And since then, the economy has shrunk for 2 straight quarters. The U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum are biting hard, and exports tumbled 7.5% in the second quarter. He promised speed, and he has delivered plenty of motion, but motion isn't momentum, and the bleak economic numbers, shrink in GDP, decline in exports, and rise in unemployment only sharpen the contrast between Carney's whirlwind rise and reality on the ground. So this article here is kind of stating how Mark Carney built his platform on these promises. He built his platform on these promises of dealing with Trump, making this man shut up about annexing Canada, making the 51st state, making him shut the hell up. Which, mind you, until recently, even recently, he still hasn't explicitly said it. He's only implied it. Until recently, he's only called Canada the 51st state, made remarks about this during the election. So what does that say about it? But so he only did it during the election, and ever since then, after again Mark Carney got elected, he's been pretty silent on that until recent, where he released that picture. It was a picture where it was the map behind him with Greenland and Canada having the U.S. flag over it. Pretty funny how many people get absolutely insane over that. Regardless, I want to make it clear too, I'm not pro America annexing Canada. I'm a Canadian. I want Canada to remain an independent country. I just find it insane the derangement people go through to be so upset about the smallest things, even though it communicates an intention. I would more specifically want to focus on another video. I'm going to talk about another video. The How exaggerated this has been in the media, in the Canadian media. But so Mark Carney promised to deal with Trump. No more annexation, no more 51st state talk. He was like, all right, Trump, close it up. My elbows are up, and I'm coming out swinging my elbows. But anyways, he promised on that. He also promised quick solutions to the problems ongoing, like the housing crisis, immigration. Although he's not exactly known for his low immigration rates, he's still importing hundreds of thousands compared to our 40 million population. Still getting replaced. Replacement theory is real, guys. It's not just a theory anymore. He proposed quick solutions to housing specifically. I believe it was. He built this whole fake place, this whole fake house or whatever. It was like basically a little Barbie playset that didn't actually exist, that got torn down immediately after he left the camera crew. So he did all of that. There hasn't been much progress on his quick solutions. He recently tried to. He was talking about how Canada needs to be less reliant on America, and I think one of his routes of doing this was going to Europe for trade deals and whatnot. But now he's been recently turning his back on that. I would say, and going to China, the most authoritarian, one of the most authoritarian, other than North Korea maybe, or Russia in terms of authoritarian, or maybe Britain, maybe even Canada soon. But one of the most authoritarian nations, communist nations, you have people over there in China. This is not a place China. He's gone to China and proposed trade deals. This is a place we want to associate with. They have people homeless in the streets because they have a low social credit score, a low government social credit score. They have people homeless in the streets, and you have people who are unable to care for themselves because of just because the government doesn't like them or because they like the things they've done. Right? This is another kind of nation we want to be associating with. Mark Carney himself said, he said, China is one of the biggest threats to Canada, and now he's going and partnering with them. Is it just economically? It may be right now, but what does this say for the future? He's open to these possibilities? I say no. And I think most European nations, especially their people, I don't know about the governments, especially like the UK over there, kind of corrupt, but especially the Europeans, they don't want to associate with China either. I don't think they would get good impressions from associating with a nation that's not only had economic and election interference from China, the communist authoritarian regime. And so he's gone and done that. And, another thing lots of people are upset about is immigration. He still hasn't done that much to curb that. He's decreasing it, I think, a bit. It's like decreasing by like 10,000 or a couple thousand or something like as the years go on. It's still remaining way above 300,000 for his projected. It's under 1% of the population, the current population, but the whole reason for immigration that we're having now, the whole justification, is that we have an aging population. We're slowly dying out. White people in Canada, we're slowly dying out, and so we need to bring people to stimulate the economy and keep it going. But so what does that say then? These people bring in, they're going to basically replace us because we're all dropping off like flies, apparently, according to the government. Which I find, hey, small tangent, I find that ironic. Hey, we're dying off like flies, yet like 1/3 of the generation dies to abortion. Let's keep that legal, huh? Really solve the issues. And so he's built his campaign on these sort of promises here, and he's kept his government and foundation going on these kind of promises, dealing with Trump, effective solutions, the housing crisis, like expanding our influence so that we are not so reliant on America, and of course immigration. I think he's taking a soft stance on reducing that. I don't remember his exact stance on it, though that clearly isn't enough because we're still important people. We shouldn't be running anyone into the country. And so I have another poll too to kind of reflect just how disillusioned we all are. The 55%, according to Free 8 Canada, 55% approval of the Carney government, with a 39% disapproval and 6% unsure. So you have like 45%. Well, I'd only count the 39% because if you're unsure if you support the government or not, you probably have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, and so you're gonna get inducted into liberal politics. That's just what I would say. So you have 39, only 39, only 40% of the Canadian population thinks that the government's on the wrong direction, even though they're failing on all of their promises. Even though they're failing on all of the promises, and they're doing more horrible things on top of just not delivering. And that's where I want to come to our kind of undiscussed crisis going on in Canada right now. It's not really discussed by the conservative movement. That's, of course, the Great Replacement. I know Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party. They're against like the huge amounts of immigration going on, but I've never seen them take like a hard no immigration, like none for like indefinite amount of time, however much longer we need to recover from all this. I don't see them taking this kind of stance. So ultimately, it's just like barely a dent in in the impact if they reduce it. Depends how much they reduce it. I would prefer to see no one coming in for a long time. Hey, you know what you should do too? You should get rid of all the legal immigrants that we brought in. There's not a big problem with illegal immigrants in Canada, though I know it is a problem, especially people who come here on visas and whatnot, and they expire and they just don't leave. Excuse me. I know there's a problem there with that, but it's not like as big as like the United States, where they have like 10 million people who came in under Biden. It's not nearly as bad as that. But we do have a problem with illegal immigrants. We have a big problem with legal immigrants. I say deport them all, legal or illegal. Yeah, get rid of all of them. Ooh, I just had to deal with something there. You're gonna see a cut in the video, whatever. Oh, I was saying, let's talk about get rid of get rid of all immigrants, legal or illegal. We should get rid of all of them. We should have like I think I was making some joke to my friend. We should have some kind of like some jester's court, like some king's court. They get like kidnapped and brought to the prime minister's feet or the king's feet, and they have to like perform like dance and gestures, and they have to like make him laugh to stay in the country. I thought that was a pretty awesome idea. But but so you have all of these. You have the immigration crisis, which are people are getting replaced. So like I was saying, it's not nearly as bad as it is in America with illegal immigration. Just legal immigration, you're still completely getting replaced, and it's I would say it's kind of worse in a way because it's happening legally. It's like where's your moral standing, right? Where's your moral standing for actually get like solving the issue? Like of all the people who are here unassimilated and are just gonna create their own little enclaves, and especially if the law, what was it, the law, or they got passed where people who are Canadian citizens, like they come here, they become a citizen or whatever, because you're just become a citizen even if you've lived here for I don't know fucking how long, whatever. But you become here and become a citizen. It was like 5 years, I think. You come here and become a citizen, and you can just move out, and all of your children in the other country are complete Canadian citizens too. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? Let's have our own little like Canadian citizen farm off in India. We start like start fucking growing them like crops. Like, holy shit, dude! You know how many fucking kids they have over there? They have 1 billion people. There's so many people. But like, we're being replaced. And so, what were we going with that? All right, yes, so the undiscussed crisis of Canada. You have the Great Replacement. We're being replaced by legal and illegal because there's so many people who come here on visas that expire and they stay here and just doesn't get enforced. And then you also have the censorship that's going on, the ongoing like undermining of our democracy and our free speech. You have like I've spoken of it before. Bill C9 has become like a boogeyman to this channel for me. Like Bill C9, ooh, look out! He's coming to take your free speech. But he really is. He is the boogeyman. He's coming for you. And he's gonna kill you. He's gonna come take you and lock you up in a dungeon. You're not gonna like what's gonna happen there. Anyway, weird. Bad joke aside, bad. Only funny to me. Only I know what I'm talking about. So you have all this Bill C9 is gonna come take your speech. It's gonna expand hate speech laws. Is what it's gonna do basically. Let me stop stuttering for a second. It's gonna expand hate speech laws, make them a lot more vague. I mean, we're already completely owned. Right? You can't go around. It's 1984. You can't go around spraying swastikas like that one lady. You can't go around spraying like fuck India or something. She was spraying on buildings or whatever that they're trying to arrest her. They're trying to arrest her for that. You can't. You already their hate speech is already controlled, but they're gonna try and expand it even more to be more vague. So hey, basically anything that you say that they don't like, hey, guess what? Now that's hate speech or whatever. They're gonna and then also what is it? They're loosely defined public spaces. Like what would you regularly expect a public space to be? You expect to be like you go out like down walk outside of your house, go down the sidewalk, go to like the Times Square, and start screaming like I hate Indians, get Indians out of my country, something like that. You start screaming that. Maybe like to find like a public place, but no, of how vague it is. Some people are concerned it's gonna be it could include the online spaces that the media will be completely censored. You can start being arrested for things you're talking about online because it's a public place where everyone can see it. And that's how you're going to define public place. Kind of like how they're doing in the UK, that that shithole of a country. Not only are they British, but now they have the worst fucking laws ever. They can't see shit online if they get arrested. I think I saw some stat. I didn't look at how true it is, so take it with a grain of salt. But the UK has more arrests for social media posts than Russia does. That authoritarian country. That's why I said earlier. I believe I said earlier that the UK is arguably authoritarian, just like China and Russia and all of them. But regardless, and then you have our democratic integrity, as I said before, collaborating with China, a communist authoritarian regime. What kind of precedent does that set for what kind of precedent does that set for our system and the intentions of our prime minister, where they want to take the Canadian system. Also, just like it's kind of a nitpick thing, but all the times that Mark Carney is like during debate, he is presenting. He's got like, his big suit on, or whatever. He's like looking real smart, saying all these things. He's got his papers up. He's like, so we should import 1 million immigrants into the country, and it'll boost our economy, and I'm gonna fix the housing crisis. He says that, and then like everyone claps, and he like gets his papers and is like gets them in position, gets them all neat and tidy, straight, and he picks it up and just leaves before the opposition has a chance to speak to him or debate his ideas. Pretty awesome. It's not exactly like system ending, but it sets a really bad precedent. And so what? So what am I trying to say with all this? I think we need to have a growing movement overtake the conservative movement, even overtake every movement. Maybe not the NDP or like the Liberals, because they're just like communists, basically, the NDP especially. Excuse me. We need to have a growing movement of people who are unafraid to talk about the real issues going on. Because I feel like it's so underrepresented, especially by Pierre Polyev. Just how like strong the influence is. The World Economic Forum agenda, the Israeli control. That's probably why they talked about it so little, because it's the Israeli control. Pierre Polyev is the humble goy from the prairies, so what do I expect? The conservative movement needs to grow stronger on how much foreign influence there is in the country. Chinese influence in our elections, soon to be our economy, if Mark Carney's deals. The World Economic Forum, which has Jewish influence, Israeli Jewish influence. So, what is that going to say? The World Economic Forum influence into Canada, just direct Jewish influence. Like if you say what Mark Carney was celebrating that one Jewish holiday. Do I have it written down here what it was? Nope. Okay, but it was a Jewish holiday. Believe me, you can look it up for yourself if you don't trust me. There's complete foreign influence on all over country. This is not just a Canada only issue. It's the same thing with the U.S. Complete foreign influence and interference in their systems, mainly for the benefit of themselves and for the detriment of ourselves. And so there needs to be a growing movement in Canada. And I feel like a big reason this doesn't exist already is because of how far left comparatively everything is in Canada, and like kind of in Europe in general. This is kind of like a Commonwealth kind of issue, actually. Maybe except for like India, because that's where like the cesspit is. Like you see it in Australia, you see it in the UK, you see it in Canada. Like it's kind of a Commonwealth issue, and other European nations. About how far left we are of it. Because like look at an example here. Like the most right party, or I guess one of the most right parties, the Conservative Party in Canada, is in favor of universal health care. That we kind of like the healthcare system we have now. And the most left party in like America, the Democrat Party, is pushing for that kind of thing. Kind of like a comparison to kind of how far left you are. So I feel like there's such a bubble of Canadians. People are too afraid of being called racist or being upset about like being scared to call someone a name that they get offended by, being offended by these horrible names, being scared of all of this. It's such a bubble. People are so stuck over here, all the way over here, when the conversation needs to be like right all the way over here, all the way over here. It needs to be really far gone. And it's so stuck. We need to have a growing movement. I've seen people online, obviously, people are talking about this. We need to actually like deport people. We need to get rid of people. We need our own ICE. We need our own Gestapo. We need our own. We need. How can you support the Gestapo? They shot a lady. I'll get into that one in every video. But we need to have a shifting conversation and movement. It needs to become more popular to actually call how things they are. Because there's so many people, especially like Pierre Polyev, make this a nice little direct one-on-one to the conservative movement. You guys need to actually talk about real issues more. Because the economy, obviously, economy is a real issue. It impacts people's lives directly, immediately. But what's the economy going to matter when you can't just criticize the government for their economic policy? What's the economy going to matter when everyone who is in the economy, who works under it, is brown? What's that going to matter? You're not going to be here for that if you get replaced. and you're not going to be able to say anything about it if the government implements policy that just completely prevents you from that. So there needs to be a conversation about the real issues, and there needs to be a huge conversation about electoral and democratic and system reform, because this all kind of happens. This all stems, and maybe it'll be a topic to talk about another time. This all kind of stems from our dysfunctional government, in a sense, and how completely far left and disillusioned Canadians are. Like, have you seen all the news stories happening about how Trump is going to invade Canada? He's going to invade Greenland, and if Carney's talking about how if Trump invades Greenland, we're going to step in. If we try and step in or something, we're gonna get steamrolled. We're just gonna die. We're gonna get completely. We're gonna get raped, dude. We're gonna die immediately. Like, we stand no chance, Canada. That's someone with those behind me there. I know I'm not. I wasn't in the army for too long, but I'm in enough. I don't have any confidence that our army would survive. We'd fucking die. We'd be obliterated. Total Canadian death. We all get like sent off to ICE detainment centers and like sent across the country or whatever. But no, we need to have a shift in conversation towards real issues like this, and people need to stop being afraid of being called racist or mean names or pointing out the real issues like the Israel lobby, like the World Economic Force lobby, like the Chinese growing influence. There needs to be a growing movement against these kind of things, and not just focus on in the economy, because the economy is like a short term thing. Honestly, the economy changes all the time. You're always gonna have inflation. You're always gonna have a worsening economy as the policies go back and forth, and the same external factors remain the same and only get worsening. And the economy is gonna shrink more and more. Your standards are gonna get lower and lower. So there needs to be a change.